One News Now, I'm Pauline Verzosa. China has reaffirmed its objection to the arbitral ruling that favored the Philippines against their 9-line claim in the South China Sea. State-run China Global Television Network released this on the eve of the 8th anniversary of the Philippines' victory in the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. The report stated that the Chinese government would never recognize the ruling. The Aquino administration challenged China's excessive claims in the South China Sea, with the late Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario leading the successful arbitration case. Maritime expert Ray Powell weighs in on China's reiteration of its objection to the arbitral ruling. Here's an excerpt from his interview on The Big Story.
At least identified its three main points.
Yep.
First off, I was wondering if you had any reaction to it.
So I spend so much time, unfortunately, in this current capacity, reading Chinese propaganda. It all just sort of looks familiar to me. So, for example, they make this point about, well, they didn't rule on territory, right? Well, actually, it was, the arbitral ruling was at the request of the Philippines, did rule that no island, reef, shoal in the Spratly Archipelago qualifies as
territory.
as an island,
Right.
which means that nothing there creates its own exclusive economic zone. So this is one of those things the Philippines was really keen to try to establish, because what they were concerned about was that China would try to then, assert an EEZ based on some claim that it had in the Spratly Archipelago. So all of these things, and of course, China essentially substitutes in its own domestic law to say, well, we recognize there's such a thing as UNCLOS, but it can't. Those rules can't possibly apply here, because this, of course, is where China has historic rights. So we just won't apply it in this particular place.
Even though they themselves are a signatory to
Yes.
UNCLOS.
Yeah.
Well, it is a mouthful. Probably we're going to get a long response in the anniversary tomorrow. But if we can't seem to have common ground or a set of facts to agree on, what do you think would be the basis for a fruitful bilateral meeting? I mean, coming off the 9th bilateral consultation meeting, how did you see that go for both countries?
Yeah.
And do you see dialogue happening with the assertiveness of China refuting everything in the 2016 arbitral award?
Yeah, I think that, it's fair to say that China will never, in our lifetimes, accept any part of the arbitral award. They are very, very dug in, and their entire, once they took that stand, and then sort of backed it up by building artificial features and and is now aggressively trying to enforce their position through these very aggressive moves that we see on TV all the time now. That has become sort of written in stone.
The Philippine Navy does not see the presence of China's carrier strike group in the Philippine Sea as a threat. This after the United States Naval Intelligence reported that the Shandong Carrier Strike Group is currently operating in the Philippine Sea. This marks the first time this year that the aircraft carrier was deployed outside the South China Sea. In an interview with Storycon, Philippine Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore Roy Vincent Trinidad, said they are still monitoring the carrier strike group. He also noted that the Philippine Sea is not part of the Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ.
Dumaan siya sa Philippine Sea, Eastern Seaboard natin yan, Pacific side, pero labas ng ating EEZ. Nasa mga 230 nautical miles.
We'll be back with more stories after this break. Keep it here on One News. The southwest monsoon or habagat currently affects most parts of the country. Pag-asa says scattered rains are expected over Mindanao, Western Visayas, Palawan, and Occidental Mindoro. Isolated rains, meanwhile, may be experienced over Metro Manila, the rest of Mimaropa, Batangas, Cavite, and Laguna. The rest of the country may also expect rains in the next 24 hours due to localized thunderstorms. The search for fugitive Apollo Kibuloy continues. With a 10 million peso bounty on his head, more people are coming forward with tips about his possible whereabouts, giving the PNP new leads to follow. Here's the report.
Since the wanted poster was released and the 10 million peso reward money was announced for the arrest of Pastor Apollo Kibuloy, the Philippine National Police started receiving more information about his potential whereabouts.
Hindi naman natin tatanggapin kaagad-agad po ito. Baka meron po doon ay nililigaw naman yung ating focus. That is not impossible, sir, na baka meron dyan na talagang tatawag para lang sabihin na nandito, para lang iligaw yung ating mga investigador at ating mga operatiba. That is why we are carefully validating the information being provided by those people calling po yung ating hotline.
The police say they see nothing wrong with offering reward money for information on Kibuloy. DILG Secretary Benher Abalos had earlier said that the fund was raised by private individuals who are dismayed about the slow pace of the case.
We have to also remember, this is not the first time ay private citizen ay nag-offer po ng reward. Alam po natin, pag may mga heinous crimes, even yung mga families po ng victim na mga civilian po ay nag-o-offer po.
For Vice President Sara Duterte, it's the government's rights to offer reward money. It can be recalled that the Vice President questioned the excessive use of force in serving the arrest warrant against the pastor, who is a close friend of her family.
Right man na siguro sa ato ang gobyerno and sa DILG nga magpagawas og rewards para sa mga wanted na mga tao kanang mga dunay warrant of arrest.
There is also speculation that Kibuloy is now in China, but the PNP believes that the pastor is still in the country.
There is also a possibility na dumaan po siya sa backdoor, pero lahat po yan ay bine-verify pa po natin. But as we speak po, naniniwala po tayo na there are indication at na nandito pa naman po yung mga hinahanap natin.
The PNP is also studying whether former President Duterte can be held liable for saying that he knows Kibuloy's location but refusing to reveal it. Former presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo says Duterte was only joking, but the PNP said this is not a laughing matter.
Well, with due respect po sa ating mga Pangulo, probably all of us knows po yung ating personality po ng Pangulo, pero yung mga ganito po na seryosong mga bagay po ay sana po ay hindi po natin ginagawang biro. Wag po nating kalimutan na yung kabilang parte po na sumisigaw po ng hustisya, may mga batang allegedly di umano ay minolestya at naging subject for trafficking. This is very serious matter po, very serious offenses.
Filipina catechist Lorena Franco, or Kaluring, is now a candidate for sainthood. Pasig Bishop Milo Vergara says the Vatican cleared the way for an inquiry into the cause for sainthood of Kaluring. At least 2 miracles for those who prayed for the late catechist must be attributed to Kaluring. She served at St. Michael Parish in Taguig City as a catechist before succumbing to ovarian cancer in 2011 at the age of 75. And those are the top stories of the hour this Friday. I'm Pauline Verzosa. We are One News.